to have him with us. Our final speaker is a New Orleans native, St. Augustine High School. I think you've already heard that somewhere today. Of course, went on to start in Nebraska, played 4 seasons for the Saints, earned Pro Bowl honors in his rookie season, set NFL records which still stand for a single game against the Rams in 1994, the most kickoff return yards in a game, and the most kickoff and punt return yards in the game. Returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns in that game. Led the NFL a number of kickoff returns and return yards from 1994 through 1996. He was inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame in 2015. The Saints, coming off of a big win over Seattle, will host San Francisco. They won't host them, they'll travel to San Francisco Sunday at 3 p.m. Please give a warm Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to Saints Hall of Famer Tyrone Hughes. Tyrone?
I'm about 60% right now. Thank you guys for having me, Ken, again. Quarterback club, sorry. And but just kind of talk on some of these things that I've heard today. It's real interesting. High school coaches are talking about the select, non-select, and Ken knows that's been a big issue with me as well. You know, we talked about it, again, being a St. Augustine alumni and on Facebook and everything, and now that Curtis is into the Catholic League, everybody's like, well, you know, had they been, because all of this is basically has stemmed from Curtis. I mean, let's be real about that. That's the whole reason that you have all of this going on. And they talk about how much they're recruiting and the kids they get. I said, well, wait a minute, you know. And the guys at St. Aug are like, well, now that Curtis is in the Catholic League, they wouldn't have won as many state championships as they have. I said, well, no, they may not have won as many, but they would still have won as more than we have. I said, you can count on one hand probably how many guys Curtis has in the NFL. I say St. Augustine High School has 45 guys that have played in the NFL and hundreds that have played at Division I football. But we haven't won a state championship since '79. I say, so it comes down to coaching and the system, and that's basically what it is. So regardless of what class you play in, it's not about the kids that they have, it's about the discipline and technique that they instill in the program. And the kids learn it, and they run it well, and that's what has won and why they've been successful. Talking about Leonard Fournette, you know, I think Leonard is going to be, you know, another question with Ron St. Augustine High School. Who was the best running back? And they've thrown me up in there, which I'm like, well, no, I was a wing back. First of all, I wasn't going to go up inside like those guys do at all. I'm strictly speed. I was outside and go and catch some passes. That was it. And but Leonard, you know, they've compared him to Leroy Horde. A lot of you know who Leroy was at St. Aug. And I tell him, I said, I think one thing with Leroy, though, guys weren't scared to hit Leroy. And I think on the high school level, kids were scared to hit Leonard. But on the college level, he has really developed himself. And I think if you all remember his freshman season, in that Wisconsin game, you know, and he got on the goal line and at strong safety, I think he was one-on-one, and the strong safety came up and hit him and knocked him back, and I think he learned, welcome to college, freshman, and it was eye-opening, I think, but he's developed himself and his body, and as you get older, things are going to happen like that, and you're going to get bigger, you're going to get faster, you're going to get stronger, but most importantly, you're going to learn more, and you're going to learn the system, you're going to learn the game, and I think that's the most important key to learn as a player is, and coaches stress that, you know, studying football, studying the game, or studying film. Those are the most important things. The knowledge of the game is more important than having the physical aspects of it, because it helps make the game a lot, or I should say, let me say it, having the physical aspects and also learning, understanding, and having the knowledge of the game will make you a better player, bigger and better player, because it'll make the game come a lot easier to you. Once you understand the ins and outs of it and what's happening. As it pertains to the Saints, and I said that to get to that point, Saints are a young team. I know the fans don't want to hear that, and they started rebuilding, although they lost the season, last 2 years, or had losing records. They really started rebuilding last year. When you have about 50% of rookies playing on your team, you're rebuilding. They didn't want to say it. I don't know why they didn't want to say it. I think fans might accept that a little bit more than you telling them, you know, hey, we're doing this and we're doing that, and you know, the defense isn't doing this or the defense isn't doing that. It's still, I was surprised this year because I actually had them pick probably to go 7-9 again. And but looking at the teams that they have played, I thought the offense was going to be a little bit longer to come around. looking at the receivers, having these young receivers to basically gel with Drew, but I think they've come along a lot faster. I knew the defense was going to be a problem simply because, again, young kids. Understand, and I say this all the time, it takes a kid about 3 years on every level to understand the game. You come in as a sophomore in high school, you don't understand it till your senior year. You come in as a freshman in college, you don't understand it till your junior year. You come in as a rookie in the NFL, you really don't start to learn it till your third or your fourth year. So if the Saints are able to keep this defense together for the next 2 to 3 years, they're going to be dominant. You're going to see some championships. But everybody's like, well, Drew doesn't have that long. Well, now you got to start looking for another quarterback. And you should have been looking for another quarterback. But that's not the way the game works. You know, Drew is the quarterback. He's a Hall of Famer. Hopefully he has about another 3 or 4 years in him at a high level to where he can perform, to wait till the defense comes along. But I think he's going through growing pains right now with the Saints. And looking at the way they played this past weekend, you can see guys are starting to come together. And understand, you got guys out there who are basically just playing, a lot of rookies are playing out there, but they're just playing on athleticism. They don't really have the knowledge of the game. So imagine when this team or this defense starts to play together, game in and game out, year in and year out, and have an understanding of each other, have an understanding, and most importantly, being able to communicate with each other. Because if you look at that secondary, there's not a lot of communication going on because guys are not sure what they're doing yet. Again, they're just out there playing. They want to line up and they're still thinking, you know, what am I supposed to do? Am I in the right coverage? Or, you know, what are we going to get? So once they get to being able to just line up and play, you're going to see a faster defense with a lot of youth, but then starting to get that 4 to 5 year experience underneath them and have an understanding of the game. And so I thought this weekend they really developed and came along and really shut down, which I didn't expect after last week the way Seattle played against the Cardinals. I thought Pete Carroll had jumped on them and, you know, had them real fired up and looking to hit Jimmy Graham just about every other play in this game, which they didn't do a lot of that throwing to him. But the defense did an excellent job this weekend against a great Seattle team. And I know it wasn't going to be hard, although Seattle came in with one of the best defenses. It's hard to stop our offense when they're clicking. For anybody, I don't care who your defense is, it's very hard to stop our offense. And I think they did an excellent job. Had a couple of pick plays going on up in there that didn't get called. But hey, at least they finally got some breaks. And looking at the San Francisco game, I think if they're able to go out there on the road with a lot of young guys and everybody starting to understand, having a good game plan, I think they should be able to come out with a win against San Francisco as well. Anybody got any questions? Did I say it all? Yes. Delvin, from what I don't know his injury status. I see him post sometimes on Facebook, and we've talked a couple of times, but according to him, he's coming along pretty good. Again, that's going to be a situation where it's his rehab and how his mentality is coming out of rehab, getting back into game mode. How is that going to affect him or not affect him? It's just going to be a wait and see.
But he's not close.
He's close. Yeah, he's close. I want to say maybe another 2 or 3 weeks from what I understood.
Could be as soon as this weekend.
Oh, this weekend. Okay, great. Yeah, and so I hadn't seen him practice or anything, so I don't know. But that a lot has to be determined from the doctors and practice, and then obviously on him. On how does he feel, and I think that's going to be a situation the Saints has to really look at and be careful about, just to make sure that he is ready to go. You talk about being 100. Is Leonard Fournette 100%? After your first, you're 100% going into the first game. After that, you ain't never 100%. So between the soreness, just the constant pounding. You may never ever be 100%, even to going into the following years. John Madden said, a football player, after one game, a football player's body is never the same. And that's true. And so you do all of that working out in the spring and in summer, and it boils down to really and truly, you know, when you look at the games, and I remember Jim Moore told us this one day, and it was kind of ironic. He said, you work out from January basically to July, and then you play your games, you know, your preseason games or whatever. He said, but as it pertains to the regular season, he said, you're only playing for 2 days. And we were like, huh? He said 2 days. He said, you think about it, you got 16 games, and you're playing 3 hours a day. He said, that's 48 hours. 48 hours. You're playing 16 games, and all of that work you put in from January to July, you're playing for 2 days. And your body's never the same after those 2 days. So, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tyrone. Saints in San Francisco.